Welcome back to Bahrain, and it is race day. Predictably, as one may have expected, clear skies for the feature race here around the Sakir circuit. Quite a challenging one in these cars with several very hard acceleration zones that the drivers will have to navigate, and the prime overtaking opportunities into turns 1 and 4 that the drivers will try to make use of with the available DRS. As we get started with the formation lap, Fuzzy, tell us a little bit about your expectations for the race today.
Given that it's race 1 and F2 cars, I'm going to be honest, I expect it to be a bit messy. These are the top drivers in the world here. Some of the top 100 are on this grid. But despite that, they don't have as much experience with these F2 cars, so I expect a bit of messy overtakes through the corners, maybe a bit of bumping, quite a few lost wings. But overall, a very fun race. As we watch our drivers... Ooh. Apologies, one sec. I believed... As we watch our drivers go through the formation lap, it seems Savage had to step out for a quick moment. The overwhelming heat seems to have killed our AC here, so he's going out there to fix it.
That's right. No, we're back. We're not sweating too hard here. Our drivers, however, might be, as they're just getting their tires into the best shape they can. And to get a better idea, we can see only one driver choosing to start on the medium tire, and that is Louise in 8th position. So that is a reverse strategy that is viable for the feature race, as those softs will degrade very, very quickly for our front-running drivers. The grip they offer at the start of the race should not be discounted, however, and that is quite possibly why many of our drivers did go with the soft compound here. On board with Tess in 6th position. He's got his, not his teammate. They're very similar, the colors here next to the drivers' names. That is Pile of Garbage in the MP Motorsport car immediately behind him. Tess's teammate all the way down in 16th. So he's going to have to represent the Campos squad and try to get as many points as he can as our drivers finish up their formation lap and get ready to get racing here around Bahrain. 16 laps they will have to navigate in the 50% feature race distance. 16 laps of excitement await us as we line up on the grid.
It's a bit odd seeing a daytime Bahrain race, but this should be fun.
Well, it harkens back to the good old days, of course, Bahrain, before it became a nighttime Grand Prix. Of course, this being a support race for Formula One running in the daytime. So, we are ready to get racing here in Bahrain, and as the lights come on, we have 5 of them glowing on that big board here in front of the grid, and as they go out, we are racing, and Secret trying to get the best getaway. Oh, it looks like we have a car moving fairly slowly there already. Pieces of front wing flying down the track. Secret taking the outside line of the 2 Premas, just swallowing up Alex Great, who has just been taken over at the start, and we can see there, that is AJ right on the back of Secret, moving already into the 4th corner. He takes the outside line, the UNI-Virtuosi driver going defensive into the corner, taking a very early apex and paying for it on exit, or is he keeping just enough traction to squeeze out AJ and retain his 1st position?
Some very bumpy driving there through turn 1, as I predicted, but we got through it mostly unscathed. All cars are still on track, maybe a bit of wing lying by the roadside, but the drivers are still going.
That's right, and we had a few drivers getting an extremely poor getaway. One of them was Henner's there, suffering significantly at the start of the Grand Prix, and quite possibly that was the source of the collision. We saw bits of carbon fiber flying along the main straight there. Not sure who was the car that suffered the damage, but, that's going to compromise one of our drivers at the very least here. We'll find out which one shortly. So Alex Great losing 2 positions at the start of that race, and it looks like we have some side-by-side action there between Henners and Jetty in our window capture that we'll keep an eye on. Meanwhile, Alex Great getting very close behind Tess up front here. No DRS for the first few laps, and without overtake, well, this is going to be all a matter of traction on exit from the corners as well as slipstream. You can see Julian just fighting the car here as we're going to go on board now with our 12th place driver in Henners, who's trying to pull alongside Jetty, but because of Jetty being in the slipstream of the car in front, Henners unable to mount an offensive just yet, pulling to the inside of the first corner, diving late on the brakes. Oh my goodness, that trackside camera was just awful, wasn't it? And is he able to secure that position still side by side? He does pull ahead of his fellow driver here.
Absolutely great racing. Remind me here, if you could, Savage, do these drivers have control over fuel management to perhaps be able to kick that fuel up into rich on the straights?
Absolutely not. Nope. The only thing the drivers have control of, as we have the 2 Prema drivers going side by side here through turn number 8, the only thing these drivers have control over is their brake bias. That is it. The rest is just down to pure driving.
Oh, Jetty spun! Jetty spun! And I believe Simply Air also took a bit of damage there as well, possibly as he slightly nudged into the side of Jetty. I'm not quite sure. I'll take a look at both Jetty and Simply Air. I'll get back to you on the damage there.
Absolutely. We're going to keep that in our window here. One of the very interesting things here is that Luis has gotten himself up into P6, or P5, forgive me, if our time board is correct. It looks like we have Zay moving very slowly in the at the end of the second sector here. No damage on board his Prema, but he has suffered quite handsomely all the way down in 11th position now.
Ooh, Simply going for a move on Hand Humi with a very, very daring move there through turn 13. Normally, you tend to be kind of cautious there as you're at 7th gear going very fast, but he's with the lower speed, he's managed to be a bit more brave. Ooh, and he nearly takes it out there on the last corner there.
Great action lower in the pack here, and we're on board with Pile of Garbage, who's making Bottsville in 6th position very, very nervous here under braking to turn 1. Now, DRS will be available for these drivers to use, and you can see it open up on the rear wing of Pile of Garbage. Of course, Bottsville has it off of Louise in front of him, and he's able to use that in a defensive fashion, as we have all sorts of exchanges of position here. It looks like is that Zay who has suffered again? Zay, it looks like he spun once again on the exit of the first couple of corners.
Looking further back, we have Simply Air, Hansumi, and Big Poppy just going at it. I'm not sure if you quite caught it there in the picture-in-picture, but they were actually 3 wide through turn 1.
Incredible stuff. Well, it looks like they're all escaping without any sort of serious consequence, and at the moment, Simply Air leading this quadruple of drivers with Han Tumi and Big Poppy following suit, but Simply Air goes wide in the hairpin, and oh my goodness, Big Poppy nearly collides, or does collide, with Han Tumi on corner exit. Now, Han trying to catch Simply, who's gone quite wide on exit there, but just unable to do so into corner number 11. Just these drivers fighting the traction and unable to make much of a statement just yet. Big Poppy keeping his position against Diacido, and Han Tiumi looking to be suffering quite a lot in the dirty air here. We're going to jump back on board with Pile of Garbage in the meantime, who's looking ever closer to Bottsville. Now, Bottsville will still have DRS off of the car in front, but I'm not sure if it's going to save him this time going into turn 1. That is how close Pile of Garbage is on this straight. Now, is he going to pull to the inside for an overtake? He does not, choosing to stay patient, but oh my goodness, Bottsville going just a little deep into the first corner. That nearly compromises his exit. Pile of Garbage fighting his car, though, on the exit curb, nearly losing his rear end, just putting in enough.
He went 3 wide through turn 1 again. Jeez, 3. Hans Yumi, Big Poppy, and Diosito. Jeez. They were one behind each other, but they each outbraked, like, oh my lord. We had Diosito going very, very late in the brakes, and then Big Poppy as well. And so all 3 of them ended up 3 wide at the turn-in point there. It was, oh my lord.
Diosito making a mistake here through turn number 4, and that unfortunately causes him to lose a position to T-Boy, who moves himself up into 15th place. What a incredible run here, and we can see You can see there his teammate Jetty also making a bid for the inside, being sort of pushed along by Zay in 17th, and it just looks like Diacito is going to fall victim to several overtakes all in one go. He's going to try to dive the inside. Oh my goodness, that is a Callum move on, there was Jetty, I believe, and the two do touch through turn number 10. And we do have that on replay. I will be eager to show you guys as soon as we can, but Diacito, a very, very poorly judged move in my personal opinion, and unfortunately that does compromise Jetty quite a little bit. We can also see Hantiumi up in front of, forgive me, that's Big Poppy, going, it looks like suffering maybe some damage here, and descending down the order quite handsomely.
With these much slower cars, all of our drivers are getting very, very brave here, because it just feels like you have so much more control. But that's a false equivalency there, because yes, you're going much slower, but the cars have much less grip. So it may seem like you're going to have more control, but you actually do not.
You're absolutely right there, Fuzzy. We have Zay and T-Boy. Oh, forgive me, there, wrong camera. Zay and T-Boy going side by side down the straight. We'd love to get an understanding as to what exactly was the ruin for Zay. And in the top three, it looks like Alex Great and AJ switching some positions around as well. Zay does pull off the overtake on T-Boy, and Big Poppy quite close behind this trio of cars as well.
Oh, Louise is spun! From P5, Louise is spun off track in turn, I believe, 7 on exit there.
We'll keep that in our window capture here, as our timing board is having all sorts of fits and tantrums, and unfortunately unable to keep an eye on who's actually doing battle, but we know for sure that the two Dams teammates are doing battle, going all the way around the outside. Oh my goodness, T-Boy squeezing Big Poppy off the track on exit from turn number 8. And that is, that's not a move that Big Poppy's going to be particularly fond of, but Jetty does squeeze past his T-Boy. Oh, and my goodness, as Big Poppy just overcooks it on traction on exit from the hairpin, and unfortunately spins the car. No damage for the MP Motorsport driver, but that is going to be a big problem for him going forward. While we have a very, very quick break in the action, we're going to go ahead and take a look at that replay of the collision between several of these drivers towards the back, and you can just see the BWT Racing driver just send an almighty lunge down the inside onto the Dams driver, and that was a very rude move indeed. We are back to live pictures here. As
we have a set of, yeah, we had a bunch of our drivers pull into the pits here. I think everyone from Alex down, the 5 down from Alex, pulled into the pits for new tires. Henner is picking up a penalty in the process due to pit speed. But it seems Secret has actually decided to stay out on track to avoid the back, perhaps going for that overcut.
That he has, and he is running on those 5-lap old softs. And Louise, in the meantime, in 3rd position on the mediums, will gain a lot more speed in the coming laps. Of course, those going onto a brand new set of mediums now will have a significant undercut, but will they be able to keep these tires alive to the end? Is this Alex Great here battling with T-Boy in the middle sector? It is, and Alex Great does victimize the Dams driver on much newer tires. Is Alex Great. He's going to have that traction advantage all day long. We do have a yellow flag in the 2nd sector, and that is AJ spun off the track on entry to turn number 8. Oh, that is just tragedy for AJ, whose tires might not have been warmed up all the way. No damage for him, but he does lose a handful of positions.
Seeker's just by himself coming down the main straight. Nobody within miles of him here. Just talking to his pit crew there. Just nothing else to do. Listen to that hard bass. Oh, no, right. And he's pit.
And that is both him and Javier in the pits. That promotes Louise to a provisional leading position on the track here. And we have Julian immediately behind T-Boy now, looking to set up the move into the final corner. Oh my goodness, he nearly loses his rear end on entry. as we have his teammate moving somewhat slowly immediately in front of him. Oh my goodness, the Dams driver cutting into the pits and actually colliding with Julian. We're gonna get a chance to see that on the replay now, and I'm not sure if he must have expected Julian to also duck into the pits, but Julian has brand new medium tires on, and unfortunately they nearly took each other out. Thankfully, just enough space given and enough countersteer given that no victims and no tragedy there.
Something I didn't foresee, but that's playing itself out here, is the pit lane speed. These drivers are used to slowing down at a certain rate. So with the reduced braking on these F2 cars, we have 5-second penalties up and down the grid.
That we do, and we also have, by the looks of it, an exchange of position between AJ and Henners up in front of this pair, and we're trying to get both battles on camera here, as we have a number of different drivers racing each other here. But it looks like AJ may have managed to clear Henners, and now he's on his way to attacking Javier. All these drivers on brand new medium tires, and oh my goodness, nearly making contact there through turn 8 is the Prema driver, and his rival immediately in front. Let's go on board now with AJ as he's trying to get close enough with this DRS. Of course, even with the reduced aero, the wash on these cars is just phenomenal here through the third sector. Nonetheless, the Prema driver keeping it right behind his rival, trying to set up a move onto the following straight or onto the main straight. He just looks to have all sorts of corner entry traction here. And just look at the pace difference. This is not overtake. This is not a rich fuel mix. This is pure driving here. And AJ promotes himself up into 6th position past Javier.
In P10, Pile of Garbage is also looking to set up the same move on Bottsville here through this last corner, trying to get the better exit to also blaze past his opponent. But not quite getting it here, unfortunately. Just barely faster, I believe. Thanks to that DRS. So he will not be catching Bottsville on this go-around unless he decides to go for a late braking maneuver, as we've seen many a driver do through this first corner.
Ooh, and it looked like Bottsville going a little bit defensive there, too, into the first corner, moving late under brakes to the middle of the track to dissuade his opponent of any smart ideas. Well, Javier, having been overtaken by AJ, not really letting the Prema driver get away and allowing him to just tow Javier around in the DRS, staying very close behind his rival and not giving up the fight. Oh, and we have some side-by-side action there with Diacito and I believe that was Han Tiumi. Correct me if I'm wrong, Fuzzy, there on your screen.
That was him.
And it looks like, oh my goodness! He has absolutely spun off. That was Diacito from 16th position now, colliding with the barrier on exit from turn number 3. Such a tricky one in these cars, of course, and he is just plummeting down the order now. Elsewhere in the pack, we have Simply Air right on the back of Zay, just unable to stay with the Prema driver who has overtaken him. Zay going off of the track to break the slipstream quite possibly, or maybe just handling a little bit of a corner exit wheel spin there. But that is Zay up into P10 on a brand new set of mediums and looking further up, potentially sizing up a reverse grid pole later in this race.
These wings must be made of, I don't know, steel or concrete or I don't know, something. But, we've seen multiple incidents here, and yet very little wing damage.
That is right. I'm amazed. Did Diacito escape wing damage on his collision?
He did, and that's why I bring it up. And I also bring up Tess overtaking Javier with a late braking maneuver through turn 1, getting the inside here, and just sort of defensively cutting off Javier through turns 2.
That he does, getting a phenomenal exit from 3 as well, is the Campos driver, and Tess promoting himself up into P6, having a great day, at least in the feature race so far. Now Javier up 5 spots to his starting grid position, and we're going to go on board with Pile of Garbage, who's right all over the back of Bottsville. Oh my goodness, Bottsville just fighting the traction in his car right now. And to use one of Tom Davis's favorite expressions, Pile of Garbage, and by the time this race is over, he's going to be able to draw Bottsville's rear diffuser from memory. Shout out to Tom Davis, of course, who does commentary for Tier 1 of Alliant Motorsports Europe, our sister league across the pond.
Somebody who's continuing to have an absolutely horrible race here, unfortunately, is Henners. I believe his system is frozen. He's restarting here. So we've got Henners bot driving around for now.
We hope to have Henners back soon, but unfortunately, he is not having the best of time. Neither is Diacito. You can see there he is spun on exit from turn number 4 as well. Some of these drivers getting a rude awakening to the nature of these Formula 2 cars. So pile of garbage now, right in the back of Bottsville, moving all the way to the outside of the track on entry to get a better leverage out of that final corner. He tries to do just that. Now his rival gets the better traction on exit, but guess who's going to have that DRS wing? It's going to be pile of garbage, and he's going to go to the outside on the main straight here, looking to size up that entry into one, brake as late as he dares, and he gets that apex and just boxes out Bottsville, not letting his rival from Art
Further up, we have Tess looking for a move on Louise after Louise comes out on fresh softs from the pits. Louise just barely getting out ahead of this this Australian driver, but Tess is not going to let that stop him. With those slightly worn in and definitely warmed up mediums, he has a chance now to take the inside corner on one of these corners here before Louise gets a chance to bring those softs up to temperature and get back in the groove of things.
Now, these drivers are all very close together on track as well. These two separate battles only a few seconds apart from one another. And we appear to have a yellow flag there on exit from turn number 8 as our timing board once again reconfigures itself. But both of these pairs of drivers on the DRS straight, on the back DRS straight at the moment. Bottsville showing himself in pile of garbage's mirrors and almost to his own expense as that narrow line causes him to run wide on exit and lose an absolute ton of time. This looks to be quite the DRS train forming up behind AJ, who's just unable to sustain Julian's incredible pace out front. The top 3 just separating themselves from the rest of the pack, and AJ has some fast customers behind him. Louise, the only driver with the softs fitted in this race so far, and those are brand new. You can imagine the grip advantage he's going to have for at least a few laps here as he sizes up a move past the Prema driver and looking immediately behind his Tess and the Campos, just a few tenths behind Louise, looking for that way past. Unfortunately, Louise suffering on traction there on exit from turn 3 and unable to mount that offensive into the 4th corner.
And Henners is DNF from this race after the multiple issues he's faced. We're sad to see that happen to him, but we hope to see him next race with a much better situation.
That's right. Henners is quite a veteran of Alliant Motorsports, and he has proven himself time and time again. So best wishes to our fellow driver there, and we hope to see him back in good spirits for the next race, which will happen this week, next week, same time. Now, Louise getting quite rapid behind AJ now. The Prema driver looking to be trying his absolute best to keep Louise behind, but well, on those brand new softs, he's going to have all sorts of traction through these corners. Time is on AJ's side. With every corner that he keeps Louise behind, Louise will lose pace, but oh, this looks like the great opportunity for him to make that overtake. He's got to nail this apex, which he does, and plants that foot on exit. The Prema driver trying to break the slipstream, moving to the inside, then to the outside, drifting back to the inside. That is several moves along the straight, not enough to shake Louise. The Prema driver just bouncing every which way. Louise goes to the outside in the braking zone now, pulling ahead of the Prema driver. Is he going to squeeze him off the track? He tries his best, but cannot. And Louise sticks it around the inside of 2 on exit from 3, going wide, and now the Campos driver in Tess getting that toe from Louise, getting past AJ, and he's going to try a move past Louise now on corner exit here, switching back that line, but unable to make an impression, but he does promote himself up into 5th, and Louise up into 4th.
Further back, we had 2 similar overtakes in Pile of Garbage overtaking Javier for 7th. Pile will now be looking to chase down the DRS train that's formed behind Louise. And further back, we had Accounting for Loss overtake Simply Air in the same location as well. Simply keeping himself right behind Accounting here, not letting him run away with it, and he'll be looking to regain that position.
Well, it looks like quite the battle indeed, and we're going to keep an eye on that in our window. When window captures, it looks like Act for Loss is just just channeling his inner Drift King there through the 8th corner, compromising his exit quite severely, and Simply Air diving the outside of turn 10, getting the switch back on the racing line and just blazing past his rival on the return. DRS straight, some phenomenal racing from the Campos there, and he does promote himself up into P11.
It might not be locked out. Accounting for Loss has not given up yet. Through turn 11, 6 and 2 wide through there. Simply Air unfortunately gets the better line there and stays ahead. But this battle will continue raging as we keep going around this track.
That it will. And we'll make sure to keep a good eye on that as our trio of Luis, Tess, and AJ also shows no signs of letting up, as it looks like Accounting for Loss makes yet another move past Simply Air, locks up, however, in the next corner, and that Campos driver once again counterattacks. Then up front, AJ showing himself in the mirrors for Tess, trying to put as much pressure on the Campos driver as he possibly can, but still no way past. They go side by side now into turn number 5 and 6, and there's a collision between the Prema driver and the Campos, and that is AJ spinning off into the proverbial sunset and losing a whole host of positions. We're going to jump back on board now with Accounting for Loss and Simply Air, who are still side by side through turn 4 here. Oh my goodness, these two drivers just look perfectly matched around this circuit, and that is Simply Air once again through into 11th position. And Tess right on side by side now, not even on the back of, side by side with Louise. And is he going to make it a 2-for-1 in just a single sector? They go side by side as well, squeezing his rival all the way to the edge of the track. Tess gets up into 4th position. Wow.
Simply has gotten himself a bit of breathing room here as I believe Accounting for Loss had a bit of a wiggle there on exit of 8th. But that's also allowed Jetty to now come into the picture, now 8 tenths behind Accounting for Loss. Unfortunately, I don't know his team, so I can't use those as descriptors.
Jetty is in the dams. It does take a little bit of adjustment because we have the Formula 1 teams committed to memory. Now, Louise getting right up behind Tess once again, forcing, oh my goodness, the Campos driver all the way to the inside, and once again around the outside he goes. Those tires are going to start running out on him shortly, though, but with only 2 laps left in this Grand Prix, will he be able to keep it in front of Tess? Well, Tess doesn't have any penalties, and Louise has 5 seconds of them. Julian out in front has 3. Pile of garbage with 5 on those very tough pit speeding penalties that you were just talking about earlier, Fuzzy. And of course, Simply Air, who's fighting once again side by side with Accounting for Loss with 11 seconds of penalties to his own name. And it looks like Jetty now getting past Accounting for Loss, following that driver's error on corner exit from turn number 2.
Absolutely. Addy Striker's dropped out. What's happened to him?
That is a great question. It looks like he may have just retired in the pits as well. No hazard out on track. And while we have just a brief moment, I'd love to go back to that incident that we saw between the Prema driver in AJ as well as Tess. You can just see the two collide there immediately behind Louise. And it may have just been a case of not giving all the room that could have been given. Now, Simply Air once again making a habit of running wide on exit from turn number 10. I wonder if the stewards are going to start taking a look at that for a potential track limit infringement. And he is trying to do everything he can to get away from Jetty and Accounting for Loss, but he has just not got the pace to break away from this DRS train here.
It seems Tess is getting close to Louise here. I'll keep an eye on this developing battle.
That's right, and we'll jump on with Tess then, who is trying to get a good run with that DRS. Louise also just twitching out every which way, and Tess squeezed all the way to the inside of the track. He's going to run very wide on exit, and Louise is going to just squeak past. Tess not setting himself up for success. Now back to you, Fuzzy, with your battle.
We're almost 3 wide through turn 1 again. Again and again, this keeps happening. Jetty managing a great run there, putting himself ahead of the 2 drivers he was chasing before, both Simply Air and Accounting for Loss. Accounting for Loss getting ahead of Simply Air, but that fight, as we know, is not over. It could be that these 2 drivers, Accounting for Loss and Simply Air, had just worn their tires out too much as they fought with each other, allowing Jetty to get a better exit out of the turn 1.
That they did, and Jetty now promoting himself up into 11th position, and a great drive from him so far. We'll see if he can take it all the way to the end. Just a few laps remaining here, and it looks like Javier catching up to Pile of Garbage. We know how much support Pile of Garbage has, but unfortunately, this isn't Formula E, and you can't give fan boost to your favorite driver, so Pile of Garbage is all on his own as he's 2 seconds behind Tess and just a little over half a second in front of Javier. We have yellow flags in Sector 1 as it looks like Big Poppy may have suffered a spin there.
Absolutely. Big Poppy was half a second behind T-Boy, I believe that was, looking to make a move, but unfortunately that wake from the from all that arrow just spun him out.
That it did. And keep us posted, please, on the battle between Simply Air Accounting for Loss and Jetty there, as we stay on board here with Javier on the final lap of this race, as he has got just a few more opportunities to make his way past Pile of Garbage, who's up in front in 6th. Now, let's remind ourselves that Bottsville and Javier are in the driver's seat for a great drive in the sprint race as they are sitting on the reverse grid front row here. But Javier cares more about these points than he does about a good starting position for the next race, and he's hounding his rival, but just not getting close enough. Meanwhile, more side-by-side action, as you can see there in your window between Jetty and Accounting for Loss, and Jetty just getting the upper hand on exit from the first chain of corners.
Absolutely. We're seeing some great late braking, some great just control of the car, despite how finicky can be through that turn 1 from all of our drivers, not just a few of them.
That we absolutely are. So we'll have you stay on board with this battle as we will give our attention to Secret, who is rounding the final 2 bends of this circuit. We did not give him all that much screen time, but, well, that is just because he was too fast. Secret crosses the line and wins the Bahrain Grand Prix, the season opener of Formula 2, and his teammate Alex Great following closely behind.
Counting for Loss there, locking up on through turn 10. Unfortunately, that is a known weakness of Simply Air, so he was not able to capitalize on that issue. But now, Accounting for Loss going side by side through this dangerous section here with G. Jeez, the balls on these guys. I could never. I just never through that section. That for me at least.
You wonder how they meet weight regulations on the car with the weight of those made of steel. Truly. Well, it looks like both Bottsville and Javier promote themselves up into P5 and 6, and Pile of Garbage will get the reverse grid pole for the sprint race. Meanwhile, Jetty and Accounting for Loss cross the line 11th and 12th. Zay gets the final points paying position, and we can see there's some interesting stuff going on from one of the cars that crashed along the start-finish straight here. Just a few drivers left to cross the line here for... Oh my goodness, wow, and a collision there between Han Tiumi and was that Simply Air immediately behind him. Let's get a good look at that in our instant replay. But that is the race in the books. Yeah, that driver looked to be moving a little bit slowly. But that is this Grand Prix in the books as Big Poppy crosses the line, and we are ready to tally up the protocol. Now, again, in case you joined us partway through this Grand Prix, do not go anywhere, because after this race, we still have the sprint race with the reverse grid for the top 8 drivers. So while they celebrate on the podium here, the action is anything but over, but not to take away from Secret's absolutely dominating performance for the UNI-Virtuosi team, for both Secret and Alex Great in this Grand Prix. Congratulations to those 2 drivers racing under the Russian flag today in honor of UNI-Virtuosi's Russian time heritage. All right, and that is the Bahrain Grand Prix in the books, and Secret has bagged the first feature race for the season. Alex Great in second, and Julian taking the fastest lap that will give him 2 extra championship points. He is rounding out the podium. Then Luis with an incredible finish in 4th, and then both Botsville and Javier up from 11th and 12th on the grid respectively into 5th and 6th, taking advantage of some supreme pace and patience, as well as Tess and Pile of Garbage looking set to for a phenomenal storming drive from reverse grid pole for the sprint race in just a few moments. Then behind him, AJ and Zay round out the points paying position for the feature race. Then behind them, Jetty, Accounting for Loss, Simply Air, Hantiyumi, T-Boy, Big Poppy, Diacito, Addy Striker, and Henners round out the rest of the order. So we will get all set up here with the sprint race in just a few moments. So don't go anywhere, because the sprint race will, of course, be an absolute battle for everyone in the top 8 and 10 as our 2 race winners look to rage their way past their competition and back out onto the podium in the limited time they have remaining, while the likes of Pile of Garbage, Tess, and Javier will look to carry those brilliant starting positions they will have into a win of their own. We are so excited to see this one and all the action that it brings. So don't go anywhere. We will be right back.